Aloha, friends. My name is Sarah Poe, and I want to talk to you about the next 40 days of your life. The world out there is wild right now. You might be feeling worried, afraid, anxious, and I want to invite you into possibilities. I want you to imagine who you will become over the next 40 days. I want you to imagine what is possible in your life over the next 40 days. And I want to inspire you to this. Your deepest gift to the world right now is for you to share your gifts with the world, is for you to cultivate peace within yourself. The greatest gift that you can give the world right now happens in your inner world, not out there. Your inner world will naturally reflect in the outer world and create the change that we're all seeking. If you're starting your day right now with social media first thing or the news first thing, your nervous system might be getting a hit first thing in the morning that's putting you into fight or flight or into immediate problem solving, into a place of anxiousness. And I want to inspire you to make some shifts over the next 40 days of your lives that will change your life and the trajectory of your path forward. We know that 40 days can shift everything in our lives, in our inner being. We know this in spiritual paths of mystics and teachers like Yeshua, how he spent 40 days in the wilderness. Mary Magdalene goes into the wilderness for 40 days. Buddha sat under the Bodhi tree for 40 days. Rumi sits and listens for the mystical teachings for 40 days. There's eons of lessons in what's possible for us in 40 days. When we create ritual and shift into contemplation every day, when we shift into devotional practices for a 40-day period, they become part of our normal. I have been practicing 40-day devotionals for a decade. And some of my first ones I didn't complete, I'm going to be honest. But I came to a 40-day practice that absolutely shifted the trajectory of my life. And from then on, I have been devoted to at least a couple times a year choosing a devotional 40-day practice, and they're always unique. Sometimes I do them around my birthday, sometimes I do them around seasonal changes. And right now is a very powerful time to choose a 40-day practice. I work in what's called astrosophy, which is astrology that's connected to the Essenes, to Yeshua, to Mary Magdalene. And it uses the life and miracles of Yeshua as well as the true alignments of the stars. We work with true sidereal, which looks at where the planets and stars actually are right now. And humans, we speak in signs and symbols, in archetypes. And the stars have always been a language that speaks to us if we listen. Not to foretell the future, but to be guides for us, to show us where we've been and what's available and possible for us now. And when we move in these cycles every year, collectively, there's opportunities in each one of these seasons, just like every season, spring, summer, fall, and winter gives us a different opportunity for transformation and change, a time to plant seeds, a time to harvest seed, time to go into the winter, to be internal. And we are all in this hemisphere, in the northern hemisphere, coming out of winter. We're preparing for spring. And starting Wednesday, March 12th, we move into the last 40 days of this cycle. So for me, I celebrate the new year when the sun moves into Aries. It's right after the spring equinox. So our ancestors would have celebrated the new cycle around spring equinox or when the sun shifted from Pisces to Aries. And this year, what is unique about this year is that the last 40 days of this cycle, ending with the sun moving from Pisces to Aries on April the 20th, is actually Easter this year. And it's Easter in both the Greek Orthodox, the Eastern and the Western Orthodox, which celebrate Easter on different days based on the calendar system they follow. One follows the Julian calendar, which is what tropical or Western astrology is using, and one uses true sidereal, or the original calendar that we followed that was moved in season, moved with the sun and the stars, right? So I wanted to come on here and just inspire you to what is possible in your life over the next 40 days and how you can shift as this is the end of the year, right? Sometimes in January when we set intentions, we fall short of them. There's even a day called Quitter's Day because we're actually in winter. It's actually not a time to set resolutions and start into action. And for our Southern Hemisphere, our friends in Australia, they're going into summer, which is also an inner time. It's a time to absorb the light in their summer, where we're in winter and we have absorbed the light, hopefully enough that it lasts us and sustains us through the winter. Neither of those seasons, though, are really a new beginning like we're getting ready to experience right now. This 40 days is also very unique because we have a Virgo full moon in the very beginning of these 40 days. And if we look at the life of Yeshua, there's a Virgo full moon that plays a part in his story in the most prominent moments, in conception and birth, in the death and resurrection. And I have some videos that talk all about that. So that there's a Virgo full moon happening. And during these 40 days, we have a real opportunity to make shifts in our inner world that are going to be reflected in the outer world. So if you're worried and fearful about what's happening out there that's out of your control, the greatest gift you can give to yourself and to the world is to shift that energy inward. And what I'll tell you is if you do this in the way that our mystics and masters and Yeshua practice 40 days, as in full surrender, a full invitation to die to the old, for God to reveal what needs to be unveiled in your life right now, then you actually have no idea who you'll be in 40 days, and neither do I. But if you truly surrender, bring it all to that altar of your heart in devotion to living with an open heart, you will be changed for the better. You will be renewed and restored. So I want to inspire you to that, to end this year, this cycle, in devotion to your heart, to your soul's path, to what is the unique gift that you came here to bring to the world. We are in an era of grace, that eclipse that we shared together last year in the spring moved us into Gene Key 22, which is the genetic imprint of moving from dishonor to grace, an era of grace. So I inspire you over the next 40 days to feel into grace. And if you're somebody who needs a little accountability and a little support, I'm going to be sharing a group 40-day experience of transformation and alchemy, with the theme being grace, gratitude, and goodness. And what's come to me to share this in this way is that we cannot control what is happening out there in a lot of ways. There's a lot of things that are completely out of our control. But what we each can control is ourselves, our thoughts, our actions, our words, our devotion to love. And we each have a note to play in this symphony that's being written. We each have a gift to share that needs to be shared. And so this is the greatest gift that we can give ourselves and our families and the world. And so the foundation for this next 40 days is grace. Grace is a gift that we receive, that we accept. It's an invitation to radical faith, faith that will change your entire experience to where you are expecting miracles. If you're somebody that always expects the worst, join us on this 40 days, because we are going to shift our heart set to expecting goodness, to expecting grace, to expecting miracles in our lives. We're going to have a foundation of gratitude because gratitude shifts everything. How can I transform my grief and my suffering into miracles, into medicine that I share, into gifts, into gratitude? And depending on what your version of God was that you grew up with, whether you grew up with any kind of version of God, we are going to shift into a version of God, the good, as Mary Magdalene names, the unnameable. What we will never fully know, right? The great mystery. Mary calls the good. And over these 40 days, we are going to shift into an awareness that God, creator, source, the universe, nature is ultimately good. That we have teams of angels here working with us. That we're fully supported. That life is happening for you in a good way. That it's only you that's holding you back. It's only me that's holding me back. So let's move into these 40 days, tear down those walls, become radically responsible for who we are. Yeshua says, take up your cross and be healed. And I take this to mean, take up the cross that you came here to bear, take full responsibility for yourself and become whole again. It's up to us, as my friend Holani shared with me at Standing Rock. It's up to us. It's up to you what you choose to do with this life and how you choose to move through these times. And for me, I'm experiencing waves of hope and inspiration and excitement and creative energy. And while systems may crumble around us, I'm focusing my intention and my actions and my prayers, my words, my thoughts on what my soul's gifts are here to share. That I'm responsible for me and for sharing those gifts. I am in service. I am in service of my wholeness and I am in service of your wholeness. So I invite you into this space to come home to who you truly are as love. Let's close out this cycle and begin the new, really anchored into our hearts and into our gifts. All right, many blessings. If you have questions, reach out to me. And I hope some of you will join us on this journey. If you're somebody who likes to do things on your own, then I am holding you in this next 40 days to really come home to your true self. Many blessings.